the first to know. Nsem-Pii TV.
Ghana abato eho ensem kaye ne ho nsensem yade a in fact aban aba we still struggle to see why yese yanko ne yanko kire yadwen emfanfa oman yi mpanimfu ebedi so na yanko wi akire no ekoye pura eho nsem kaye ekoye wuo ho nsem kaye. Election violence has been an albatross hanging around the neck of almost every government Ghana for ato abadiama. You can name them. Sirepone, Etiwa, Abelekuma, Awutu Senya East. Just name them. A dozen woman, you Techiman South by election, any de Kakahunina. Now, in all this, what we fail to appreciate in say Ghana for Mabunua. Ohu esisi won ho so ehwe won kwa ebi mu pra render omu incapacitated ya omu ntumi nyahwe enu nti ebra na His Excellency John Dramani Mahama bontoa seeking Ghanaian votes to become the next president of this country. Wo shebo se oba abatoa mu menteme ho ase ene in fact montokwa hodo asie no obeti abadwokuo na omo ahwem na omo akire say wei ena eboa ema sa menteme ho ase a edi pura ni wuo no ebae na afi Ghana for ye ho ada ye ho so going into the 2028 general elections. Enunti or taxi the interior ministry led by Interior Minister the Honorable Muntaka say omo no sukomura mu titiri ene awutu senya east na omo fa report mra na yenhunu se die poti ni sie ewa the 2024 general elections na already ni atitin sembebrebe and somebody been say the then NDC parliamentary candidate for Awutu Senya East Phyllis na koyo ababonti abeka say the Honorable Hawa Koomson are threatening the life. The Honorable Hawa Koomson LED tax ama in fact ni agent mienu kura wu the agent na ye prepra just a host of Nsem and a fellas na koyo e kan de fa the Honorable Hawa Koomson ene se yakoto aba no a Awutu Senya East for ejina so edito aba no editi a ya ma me Hawa Koomson e ma NDC's fellas na koyo ebe ye member of parliament Enra Interior Minister Efre Ghana for nyina ebie report no ni kire na no kura nim nyame anim ni fellas na koyo onimontro di papa mi who member of parliament on kan crisis ama meneda. Every single statement she made against the Honorable Hawa Koomson the 2024 elections course Awutu Senya is turned out to be complete falsehood. Just Interior Minister kan sam no na Ghana for do na kwani ewu yankum obia ne agent bia nwu ne agent bia bra just be bia na o kasempo the Honorable Hawa Koomson call for attacking no enra the Honorable Muntaka ekire mu kire se sa bia ye kra na woni ho he was not even at the location just atroson and NDC's Felix na koyo say odi edify the Honorable Hawa Koomson be audio no wa habra na TV3 for interview no a na ababa na nia bredi atro me boss audio no dia eno ena in fact awie Adom FM News omo epenchire mu se obi edi ntrosa raise issues of criminality ya eya tro sign amra no kan in fact and still lawyer chire mu se enya ne nwanwa se NDC MP Phyllis na koyo ebetumi akwafiase akodi emfie miensa because adia maame no ayen almost every statement or every aspect of what went on Awutu Senya East constituency ya wadi tu Ghana etia Ghana mra. The other interesting revelations the lawyer made. The first of all, I will play you the audio of Atroa na Felix na koyo AD during an interview with TV3 on the day of election. Na afei and someone lawyer ni no kan ya fa ho vis-a-vis Newman the Interior Minister Yura Muntaka Mubarak di 2 Jan. If I'm a baby in Nemo, Ediama.
What's happening?
I went out to visit one of the collective centers, which is Iron City. I went to step to Christ first. I realized that there was a VA, which is Hawa Koomson VA, with the boys, Tima, and the rest, the same boys I complained about. They have followed me and they have shot one of my guys. In fact, they shot at my car several times.
I see. And what's the situation there where you are now?
One guy is dead. It is some people. Obviously, when someone is dead, how can it be people? How can it be cows? There's a dead person lying down there. I want to say I killed someone. He wants to take my life, and he has killed someone and injured another. What is the police doing about it?
Phyllis, how do you know that this V8 that pursued you is from your opponent, Hawa Koomson? Hello, Phyllis. Phyllis.
I know it is because I know the car. I know the boys as well. This is not the first time the boys are coming to Kaswa. They have been to Kaswa before. They were in Kaswa 2020, and they were the same people who attacked me.
Phyllis, are you safe where you are right now? Can you hear me, Phyllis?
I am not saying my life is in danger. My life is in danger, and the lives of my entire family. The lives of my entire family is in danger as we speak.
Phyllis, have you reported this incident to the police yet?
Yes, I have.
What action has been taken by the police?
Whether Hawa Koomson likes it or not, I have taken her out. Whether she likes it or not, I have won the election. And not about
Phyllis, let's calm tempers. We'll wait for the election in Ewutu Senya East to be declared by the Electoral Commission. In the meantime, I'm asking you, what action did the police take when you reported to them?
They haven't taken any action yet. Right now, I'm struggling. There are 2 people lying down, struggling for their life. One is dead. The other 2 is very serious issues.
Nsem-Pii no ene aduonu nan abatwo ye to wo magimuo no ene baby a wo manfo boja de nipa sode ye na wo frika so aton bedu cantonment police station ebe hyehye ka akoba be hyehye niema wo ho no mo se wo mra hye badwani na akoyo sabre no onye mra hye badwani no ye candidate ya no wo press wo bewura mra hye badwam na de hye yi se no wo mate se ya kire na akoyo de na akohye wo no mo na sempanimfu mpanimfu anyano a ene enya sempapa sabra ye se ene etuo ho nsem ene wo mu a ne beto odwase na akoyo wo ba Phyllis na akoyo se ye beto abanu mu abato no koso no nipa bi sabra nkwa de no wo se mra hye badwani a no wo te so sabre no Hawa Koomson ena ne metwofo abeto ahye ne so abe atake no brofo a na ewomu no ya atake no Eti ba ye amanfo di twoboye ye chese na nya gro na sa asem no esi ye no ya to abawie na penchen si a se ye nhwehwemu wom ti na soafo a wo hwe o meye fi semba mboso Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak en wo akopie mu ewo empanimfo anim no wo mu bisa no wo se papa ya to abawie bosumi esenie ye kwafe mu an ye keka koi ni esi wa abatwo no mpesa wuduo bi so ya na ebi se ye bebowo ebi si ye bekume ebi si aina Hawa Koomson ne metwofo ene o mo beto ahye me so wa ye nhwehwemu se Interior Minister na hwehwemu a wo ye no de ne wahuo wo da wutu senya isi de ne kire ye mu ewo wono mo asemi mu enanne soafo Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak de atudwa se wo bi ada wonda na wutu senya East asemu na akoyo mra hye badwani de betu dwa se enko manfo bi ya ba attack no sa abrofo no obeka ye no wo ma twena sa wo ba bra na beboa na nhwehwemu no entumi enkoso ne enhu omo a sa abrofo so mba attack wo no mba wo so wo se na akoyo mpusu no a wabɔ ne motoam gongon adanya wo se an obi a ma attack no Obia ma attack no attack bia ma no so na minister se nyi wonu nko wo so omo a na omo kan wo omo te sa kai kro no am omo se ye beto hye wo musumu wo frɛ we ya wo ma wo frɛ we ya wo ma wo frɛ wo bi ya wo ma na de yentie minister mra
2024 election violence cases starting with Ewutu Senya East constituency, that's Kaswa. The task force observed that the Honorable Phyllis now Koyo Okeno denied that her convoy was attacked. She was nowhere near the scene of the incident. Persons who were involved in the incident have avoided speaking with the task force, while Muhammad Ali and others who were in the Mahindra pickup truck and fired shots from their vehicle have also avoided speaking with the task force. So their opinion have not been established. Muhammad Ali is said to have been flown abroad for further treatment. The late Yusuf Larry Idris died from a gunshot, and those who were in the Mahindra pickup with him know what happened. The driver of the Mahindra has been traced, and further investigation is ongoing. The task force will continue with the investigation.
Abusia eni awuti ye Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak swafo hwo mayi ya fisem bambo so no kire mu se wo matwe na akwa yu atwe na wo ba bra beboa na nhwehwemu nkoso afedie wo se obi a ma ne so enti ja dede nu obo ye wa bra ne ye to abade ye temekro no hawa temekro no wo se nye sa bra nkura wo no ommen ba bi asem ni si ye no enye no kore na asemi na ne ye se ye nkomu ye beto aba na so obi ekekam obi bosa agya dede ne se ye temekro no ye de etu asimisuo na se ne wo kase da bi nye saa na te a wo mramu no de na tumi asie na lawyer ni baako lawyer agbotenu wo de tudwa se hwe wo de wano kasem na wo de wo se wo ka no yo a ye nka no yo efisa sam wo ka ye dom ye pu ye ko police station ye dikai ne atusum yenu sane o ma bambofo asode ne odi akire yi na akoyo na we bi mu hunemu na no na bi mu tietia ne fa mu die so o mo ko ye ni nyina se wo boa pa de a ene emranu mu ye wo cross wo mu ebetimi de awe no wo se misleading public officials baako ne atusum yenu pa sa wusu obi kumi ne yankun wo eno so ye charges ni bi ade entie lawyer agbotemre
ba se yambu anaso bi atake ona se wo se obi atake wa na se wa bo utim na waka eno no emremu no ye wo mienu de abo ne de se ono na aye bone na bra onye ye no o civil right obetimi de wa court e wo na kwanso no waka se wo twantro atonosu anaso wagu ne ho fi enti court nshena womo emma people sa e de boni na odi atonosu no empo etumi ebo charge anaso ebo ka emma wotia the person no a police for on say ya me can be causing fear and panic anaso publication of false information and also so mremo no anaso tiamra nti betumi edi wa kodina mra ana court na ye dis accordable publication of misinformation in the near criminal no I am misdemeanor to be court no mark charge you publication of false information and that causing fear and panic in means associated from 1 day to 3 years maximum.
Abusia lawyer na ekasa no lawyer agbotenu watene nka no na wo de oba Facebook YouTube asabre na asem America yi video enyira na social media daworoma wo ya na so kwotena so na aka na ye betimi yi de hwe sabre na dompa ko cantonment police station no video na demu no na nya so omokokogina wo keke wo ebi wo so aprosifuo gate ebi shika akoba adan ya wo mse na akoyo na akoyo se ehwe ya anya nuyi wo se hwe ya anya ntiro ya kire mu se so agogoro ho na asemu ekokoto pa na be kirem na sane ye wo pupu ne to kwa kire no wo yese na mboa emfie mienso ogoro ho a obekom video ye demo se kadanse ye mpanifo de bekoro ho a na awutu senya East constituency panina wo ginamuo e de ama MPP amanyoko no Michael Aden wodi atudwa se mahu mu a mo hye dabo sudwetire e kan samu akese egu Hawa Koomson animu ase ema maami ya ne poto mo a wodi ntwo no wo se mo na munie ni asie mo na munie wo de entie mra
nim die obetinya ya ne die ontime ye na ya kan se nipa bonifo bi ye atahye maami se omo pese omo gu ne nim atinti ye onye ye kura no mo so waye nti ya die anya ya won se interior ministry and also interior minister ade aba bonje se ehihemu o maye so far no kire se asema na akoyo eka na anu no nokure bia wu nti ya die yenim se nokure die nim dada ena minister so asa abesisu dia se nokure bi nim nti asida na edbe manyame na ya sire minister se omuntu anamo enim ya na investigation ni na no omo fa mbre ye na nokure no bi e wo no ye fa embeto na ye di your position so atuja nti your options e bra ye bobo
Abusuani a wuti ye ya wutu senya Nsem-Pii amanyoko no constituency secretary Michael Ade en wo kiremuo de akoso se wanka asemi wanka oba Facebook you hwe kwaku wahu adom ekodi kire sa abre no no mo di asem ni di o wo mo nim say ya nokure nti hwe man panimfo ebo aboso ko hyehye ka akoba ekotai na akoyo achi ene se ne wayi mu amai
sa wo se aboa ne so waka na so onwe wono anaka wo sa aboa nti we
warning shots as means of crowd control. Investigation into one of the cases during the 2020 general election at Jubilation was completed. The Attorney General is currently prosecuting 3 persons who are standing trials at the High Court Criminal Division, Accra. The investigation established that 3 of the cases resulting in 4 deaths are traceable to the use of firearms by armed police patrol teams. Military personnel were also found to be responsible for 3 of the cases resulting in the death of 3 persons when they intervened. The 2 other cases involve persons who were lynched during confrontation between supporters of the 2 major parties. It is worth noting that 21 suspects have been identified through witness interview, scene visit, reconstruction of crime and crime scene, and forensic and ballistic examination of material of evidence relevant to the cases. 11 new dockets have been built on the cases. 4 of the identified suspects have been arrested and admitted to police inquiry bills to facilitate further investigation and to trace their accomplices. 5 other identified suspects have been remanded in prison custody. Warrants of arrest have been procured to facilitate the arrest of some of the identified suspects who are on the run. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, the 2020 investigation reports are as follows. The team has out that appropriate rules of engagement were observed. Security personnel, especially the police patrol teams at the collation center, fired indiscriminately, and in some cases, they directed fire at the escaping crowd. Spent shells could not be retrieved from the scene. As in the case of the Techiman, immediately the day after the election, it rained heavily, and so they couldn't pick much from the scene. And no bullets or projectiles were retrieved from the bodies of the deceased to assist ballistic examination to identify which weapon caused the injuries or death. It made it difficult to bring finality as to who actually caused the injury and death for now. However, investigation will continue until justice is done. The recommendation from the task force was that the crowd control response of security personnel by resorting to the firing of live arms and also directing fire at the escaping crowd is not acceptable. The victims of the gunshots have suffered injuries that caused them pain, loss of resources for treatment, as well as income. Families have also lost breadwinners. The state should take steps to the state should take up the responsibility to compensate the families who lost their breadwinners, as well as those who suffered injuries. Police should receive orientation and desist from using lethal force in crowd control situations. Appropriate crowd control gear should be provided to security services. Party executives, officials, and persons involved in election management should be well educated on the provision of the Anti-Vigilante Act 2019 Act 999. Action taken so far on the Tachima. The report has been forwarded to the Attorney General for the compensation to be given to the families of the deceased and the injured. Docket of the case is also referred to the court. The persons who shot and killed the deceased, Richard Otu and Emmanuel Dompre. However, 3 identified persons by police as those who fired shot into the crowd and injuring them were charged with the offenses of conspiracy to commit murder, contrary to the Section 23(1) and 47 of the Criminal Offences Act 1960 Act 29, and attempted murder, contrary to Section 48 of the same Act. They have been committed and are standing trial at the High Court, Criminal Court 1, Accra. The recommendation of the task force is that the task force recommends monetary compensation to the families of the deceased. The injured must abide by the judgment of the court in the trial, after which compensation, if any, may be determined. So the actions that we've taken so far on this is that same Attorney General for the workout of compensation to the deceased family. The docket is also the 2 citizens. Ablekuma Central, that's Odoko Police Church. The observation of the task force is that investigation revealed that the soldiers were interviewed and showed video of a man dressed in military uniform and reported to be the person who fired, resulting in the death of Abbas Ibrahim, but they maintained that the said soldier was not known to them. The case involved accused Collins Kweku, alias Kola, who was charged and accounted for the incident that led to the death of 1 person and injured 4 others. Police personnel were present at the center and should have controlled the crowd. Lack of coordination between the police and the military men who were on duty accounted for the situation in which the military resorted to the use of live ammunition to attempt to control the crowd. The incident was avoidable because the agitation and shouting by the party supporters were outside the collation center. The action of Collins Kweku was a criminal offense. The recommendation of the task force is that election security management should be coordinated properly to determine when force is required for crowd control. The use of military in crowd control activity should cease if death resulting from high-handedness of state security are to be avoided.